All right, it is time for a tag video. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. This is going to be the currently reading tag, and I was tagged by Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures. Thank you so much for tagging me, Berna. It really is perfect timing, given that I am doing my currently reading challenge, and so that was just delightful to not only watch your tag and then to see myself tag. I just felt so happy. The original tag was created by Charlie Ray. I will leave links to Charlie Ray's video as well as Berna's video down below, and I was really interested to see that the original tag was created back in 2015. That's awesome. Just really awesome to see a tag be continued to be done for so long, and I really like the questions. I really like talking about what I'm currently reading, obviously. And so let's get right to it. Question number 1: how many books do you usually read at once? So actively read, I tend to read between 3 to 7 titles at the same time when I set out my weekly reading plan. Recently it has been 5 because of my currently reading challenge, and then an additional 1 to 2 titles. But in terms of how many books are on my currently reading, I got it down to 31 at the beginning of October. So hopefully it will continue to decrease. It's been in the 30s all year. So I am trying to wean that below, but it is taking a fair amount of work. So anyway, so that is the 2 possible answers to that question. Number 2, if you're reading more than one book at a time, how do you decide to switch to reading to the other book? Do you read a certain amount of pages per each? For this, what I usually do is I plan my reading weekly. Right now I'm doing weekly TBRs, which I post on Sundays. And so what I do is I give myself some time on Sunday to read a little bit from each of the books. I set a timer on my phone for 12 minutes, and I try and read to sort of what is a natural break in the book, whether that's a chapter or a couple stories or half a chapter, or depends on the work, what that means. So I just rotate 12 minutes, 12 minutes, 12 minutes, and I let myself keep going if I'm close to the end of the chapter. And then that gives me a sense of, how I'm doing and how fast my pace is. From that, I sort of continue to do that, like for 5 out of the 7 days out of the week, because I like to give myself the weekends off. Like Friday, Saturday off. And then I usually alternate fiction to nonfiction, but honestly, whatever order I read them in that first day, it just sort of sticks. I am just a creature of habit, and often I'll do that in a way, sometimes in a logistical way, like if I'm reading anything that's backlit, I will read that together because I don't need a light for that, and then any physical books or Kindle books, because I have one of the Kindles with no backlighting. And then I'll read my physical and Kindle books together with the light on so I can see. And so I just sort of group them into sort of those 2 sections and try and alternate fiction and nonfiction for like 12 minutes each. And that's what I do. It's not so much a sense of a moment in the book or anything like that. It's by timer, pretty much. And then I do also read later in the day, but I do that sort of more for like my extra once I've gotten to my page count. Question number 3: do you ever switch bookmarks while you're partway through a book? This was a surprising question. I saw it when I watched Berna's video, but I had never heard of this. I my bookmarks sometimes end up just being like a scrap piece of glossy paper with the Post-its on it, not the Post-its, the little book flags, and then I'll just use that. I sometimes make bookmarks. I have it for quite a while. So I have bookmarks that I really like, and I like to pair them with different books, but I honestly, I may have done this I'm sure if I lost a bookmark, I would replace it, but I actually do not think too much about it. I used to really like pare out my bookmarks to the book. Now I don't. As long as I have book flags, I'm good. I'm happy. And also I read a lot on Kindle and on tablet, so that doesn't require a bookmark. Number 4, where do you keep the books that you're currently reading? I keep them where I read. So for my early evening, late afternoon reading, they are on my coffee table beside the couch, and otherwise at night, they are on my bedside table or night table. Do those mean different things, or are they synonyms? I'm not sure. Number 5, what time of day do you spend the most time reading? Late afternoon, early evening tends to be the time. It's not, for me, what I consider the ideal time, but over time, it just ends up being the time. So I like to be done my reading before 8 o'clock, basically because that's when live TV starts. So if there's any shows that I want to watch, generally they're on at 8 o'clock. Although for some reason CTV is playing The Wonder Years at 7:30. So maybe I should aim for 7:30 on Wednesdays, but that's a little splitting hairs. So generally speaking, yeah, sort of that late afternoon, early evening, I want to be done by 8 or a little bit before if I want to make dinner for watching TV. So that's when I spend the most amount of time. Could be in like the before I go to sleep. That is variable, honestly. Sometimes I get 2 pages in and I fall asleep. Sometimes I can be reading for 2 hours if I can't get to sleep. So that's completely variable. But during the late afternoon, early evening, it's definitely the most consistent, longest periods of time. Wow. Number 6, how long do you typically read for in one go? So that's a bit easy. 12 times 5. So generally speaking, an hour to an hour and a half on days, or it could be longer if I'm having a day where I need a lot of rest. But generally I try and get in an hour in that time period, and then later, as I actually already said before I go to sleep, it could be 2 minutes or 2 hours. I really don't know. Like, it's a lot of times I will fall asleep right away, which is why I try and get my page count in and all of my like dedicated reading in early in the day. Because I used to only read before going to sleep, but I I fall asleep pretty early. Not early, but just like soon. I don't get a lot of reading in before I fall asleep is what I'm trying to say, which is a change. And I don't know. Sleep is good. I try not to get mad at myself, but sometimes I get frustrated that I don't finish my reading. But sleep is good. Sleep is important. It's, provides us with rejuvenation every single day. So I try not to get mad at needing sleep or having sleep. It's okay. Number 7, do you read hardcovers with the dust jacket on or off? I gotta say, this is something I never knew that people did before BookTube, that people would take the dust jacket off. I have never done that. And I don't know if that's because I rarely had hardcovers growing up outside of library books. And if it was a library book, it had the plastic taped around it, so you couldn't do it. Actually, even when I worked at bookstores, I remember putting plastic around books. I'm surprised that we sold them like that. Was that I did have a library gig very briefly. No, we didn't use plastic for that. Anyway, wow, I'm having all of these weird book memories. I remember doing it. I really like doing it. I used to make book covers for soft covers for paperbacks because to not damage them, because I would borrow them from someone who wanted them back in the condition they were given, which fair play. But anyway, I'm off topic. So what was the question? Hardcovers with the dust jacket off. No, I leave the dust jacket on because it's there to protect the book. So if I have any, like if my hands aren't, like if they have, like I don't want to, it's there to protect the book. It doesn't bother me. I find it very strange that it bothers people. I believe them because you can feel it when they talk about how it bothers them. But I'm like, I don't even think twice about it. So I leave it on. I've tried a couple times taking it off. I don't like it. And then I worry about it. Where is it? It gives the impression of a full book, but it's folded over. You can put something on top of it and then damage the dust jacket. No, I leave that sucker on. Number 8, which position do you mainly use to read? is a trick question. I read lying down. I read as a rest activity. So, and that's actually sort of how I got back into reading, is that I needed to rest. And so I started reading again, again for the third time, fourth time, I can't remember. I've had many reading breaks. So yeah, I need to be lying down. The only time I'm sitting up at a table is if I'm reading sort of like a coffee table book or something really heavy that has a lot of illustrations or something like that. Generally speaking, I need to be lying down. Number 9, do you take a book with you? Do you take the book you're currently reading with you everywhere you go? No, I do not, because carrying extra weight is not helpful for me, so I never take a book with me, especially if it's a physical book. I used to take my Kindle with me when I would take the subway. This is a pre-COVID tag, so there's that. So I used to take my Kindle with me on the subway if I was when I was using the subway, so that was great because I could not only read one book, I could read any book on my Kindle, but I don't really take the subway very much anymore given all of the things, and I don't listen to audiobooks very much. Sometimes I listen to them when I was like returning or picking up library books or running errands, but I find it hard to focus, so I generally listen to music when I'm out, or these days, honestly, it's just so nice to be outside, that especially it's like nice weather in October right now, so I just want to like be in the experience of what is. So I get enough reading time at home. I'm not worried about needing to keep it going as I'm going out. Although I do understand the idea, like the appeal of going to like a park and reading there. Being a city person, that's not always, I've had variable, it can be a nice experience, it can be not a nice experience, I'll just leave it there. And so I haven't considered even doing something like that, although it probably would be fine. I don't know, sometimes it just feels like I just don't want to deal with it if it becomes not fine. So I don't do that. 10, how often do you update your progress of the books you're currently reading on Goodreads? I update them once a day, in the mornings when I do my calculation of the pages read, because I do a little cheat sheet, which I don't have nearby, to calculate how much I read from each of the books every day. And then on Saturdays, I update with all the titles that I finished for the week, and update my spreadsheet with my different stats that I work on. I give myself one TV show to watch. I usually like rewatch Merlin or Star Trek, and I just have a coffee and I just spend time reading, or updating, and I feel like one episode is enough, and I leave it there. Number 12, 11, who would you like to tag? I am losing memory on this, so if you updated Goodreads today, you are tagged. I'm going to leave it at that. I really hope I didn't cut out. My phone did a weird thing, but I really love doing this tag. I really love talking about currently reading and books in general, so thank you so much again, Berna, to tagging me, and I will be back soon with another video. Thanks for watching.